Hello guys, gals, non-binary pals, and waterfowls. It's me, Big Mike. And it's been a while, but I'm back and I'm coming at you with a video on some of my favorite podcasts. I tend to do a lot of work, whether it's research for a video or a writing project I have to do, or it's one of my tasks in which I have to input a lot of data. But regardless, while I'm being productive, I tend to listen to a lot of podcasts to keep me entertained. As such, I decided to make this video as a way of sharing my love with all of you. Now, there are a couple things I want to talk about before we jump into this. First, the podcasts we're going to be discussing in this video are by no means general interest podcasts, but they are very niche. So, if you happen to listen to any of these, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear from you and I would love to connect with you, fam. Secondly, I just want to point out that the order here does not have any significance at all. I neither love the first one or the last one more than any others. The order is just a bit random. Some of these podcasts also have visual components to them, and if I'm able to get it past copyright, I'll be more than happy to show them on the screen. I always like to try to include video in my videos as opposed to just still images, but a lot of my videos tend to have just still images in them because of the copyright issues. So I'm going to try my best in this video to get some actual footage in this as opposed to still images, but if I can't, then just know it's because of YouTube's copyright system. And lastly, I'm on the tail end of a cold, so if my voice sounds a bit off, that's why. Please forgive me. And so without further ado, let's jump into this, fam. The first podcast we're going to be talking about here today, fam, is the Waterfowls Operation Podcast. If you follow me on social media, by now you probably know my favorite YouTube channel is the Waterfowls. The Waterfowls is a YouTube channel and podcast hosted by Andrew, AJ Gentile, often featuring his animated sidekick, Hecklefish Moriarty. Launched on October 5th, 2020, it explores mysteries, myths, legends, and conspiracies, covering topics like aliens, cryptids, time travel, and government secrets. Known for its engaging storytelling, high production quality, and balanced approach, each episode presents a topic with research, humor, and a skeptical lens, often concluding with a debunking segment that clarifies fact from fiction while leaving room for open interpretation. The Waterfowls Operation Podcast differs from the main show in several important ways. Most importantly, the podcast is more of a deep dive, being much more thorough. Another difference is less censorship. Being on different platforms, AJ faces fewer content restrictions compared to YouTube. As a result, this allows AJ to present unredacted or uncensored discussions. The only downside to the podcast is that Hecklefish is noticeably absent. For me, Hecklefish is one of my favorite parts of the show. Just when things are getting heavy, he serves up the perfect amount of comic relief.
Uranus. Please don't say it that way.
Now with that aside, AJ is a fantastic storyteller, and his storytelling skills are what drew me into and got me hooked to both the original series and the podcast. He has been favorably compared to Art Bell, and I believe that to be an accurate assessment, fam. Episodes of the Waterfowls Operation Podcast are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and more. Episodes tend to range between 30 to 45 minutes and make a great background listen for when working on other projects. Next up, we have Future Knowledge. It's no secret if you've been subscribed to me for a while or if you follow me on social media, I'm a huge fan of the Internet Archive and its philosophy of making information accessible. I'm also a huge supporter of the public domain and am vastly interested in copyright issues. So there exists no reality in which I could not be a huge fan of Future Knowledge. Unlike the last entry we looked at, this one has a description, and so we're going to be looking at it. Future Knowledge is a podcast launched by the Internet Archive and Authors Alliance, exploring the intersection of technology, culture, and information policy. Hosted by Chris Freeland, a librarian at the Internet Archive, and Dave Hansen, Executive Director of Authors Alliance. The series features discussions with leading authors, scholars, and experts on topics like copyright, open access, AI, and digital preservation. Each episode pairs an author discussing their work with a thought-provoking conversation partner from fields like policy, technology, or the arts, addressing big issues shaping knowledge and creativity in the digital age. This is the newest podcast I will be discussing in this video, and despite being only 4 episodes in as of the writing of this, every single episode so far has been solid. Every episode has been a thought-provoking experience. And this is no coincidence. For the most part, each episode's pairing of guests is excellently done, with each guest having a unique perspective to share given their own position in a field. For example, in the first episode, historian Peter Baldwin joined copyright scholar Pamela Samuelson to discuss the transatlantic copyright wars, and each of their backgrounds allowed them to bring something different to the table. With all of that in mind, however, the podcast is not afraid to play around with its formula. In the most recent episode, they went with a bit of a different approach. They had only one guest, author and activist Cory Doctorow. He was discussing his book, The Internet Con, advocating for reclaiming internet control from big tech. He explained how lockdown platforms and limited online choices sustain corporate monopolies, emphasizing that interoperability can dismantle these barriers. He argued that empowering users to exit, adapt, and re-envision the internet is key to transforming the digital landscape. That change in format, in my opinion, was justified to suit such a monumental topic. I would highly recommend this podcast to anyone interested in the internet, the free flow of knowledge and information, copyright issues, libraries, the sharing of knowledge, and more. Episodes are available on Transistor FM, YouTube, and the Internet Archive. While we're only 4 episodes in, so far the episodes have ranged between 30 minutes to an hour in length. And this, I find, is another amazing podcast to listen to while trying to be productive. The next podcast we'll be discussing is Our State. Now, if you only know me from YouTube, this one may be a bit more out of left field than the others. I've mentioned it a few times in passing here on my channel, but it's something I've been more vocal about on my social media, and that is my love for my home state of North Carolina. I'm a proud North Carolinian, and North Carolina is what this next entry is all about. Out of all the podcasts featured in this video, Our State is the one that has its basis in the oldest source material. Way before becoming a podcast, before a podcast or even the internet was a thing, Our State debuted as a magazine in 1933. Way back then, when it was first published, it was known as The State Magazine, and later became Our State, celebrating North Carolina. It's the oldest regional publication of its kind in the country. Our State features travel and history articles, recipes, and photographs about North Carolina, people, places, and events. As of 2008, Our State had readers in all 50 states as well as in 50 countries. Our State magazine has been called North Carolina's best kept secret by the Tuscaloosa News. And I'm gonna fold here, fam. I have no idea if it's pronounced Tuscaloosa or not. But so if you're from that place or if you're from Alabama, please forgive me if I mispronounced that. The podcasts tend to follow this format very closely. So closely, in fact, the podcast are the authors reading their own articles. This means in each episode you get to hear the author bringing their own stories to life. Now, admittedly, as much as I love North Carolina and as much as I love this podcast, I don't tend to listen to every episode. I tend to skip the ones focused on recipes, preferring those about the history, culture, places, or people of the Old North State. And this is not to say that the episodes focusing on food are bad. The ones I've listened to sound great. It's just not my cup of tea. The podcasts tend to release on a monthly basis along with the magazine. Each article is its own podcast episode, so each episode tends to run between 5 to 10 minutes. They make a great listen right before bed or during a coffee break. Episodes are available on Apple and Spotify, and I would highly recommend this to anybody, North Carolinian or otherwise, who has a great love or interest in the Tar Heel State, or for anyone who would like to travel there. And the final one we'll be talking about here today is Ask A Pol UAP. And this last one, Ask A Pol, will ring some bells if you've ever followed my UAP coverage. And just for those who aren't familiar, UAP is the new term or the more recent term for UFO. In fact, out of all the podcasts I have listened to, I have utilized none more in my research than I have Ask A Pol. Ask A Pol is your conduit to Congress, asking your lawmakers your UAP questions at your U.S. Capitol. It's ran by Matt Laszlo and his small team. Matt Laszlo is a veteran congressional correspondent based in Washington, D.C., and has been covering federal policy and campaigns since 2006. He runs the LCB, Laszlo Congressional Bureau, a national wire service supplying Capitol Hill coverage to over 65 local NPR stations, Pulitzer Prize-winning outlets, alt-weeklies, and nonprofit newsrooms. From 2010 to 2015, he served as WAMU's political correspondent and maintains a connection with the National Native News. He's been a Wired contributor since 2019. Laszlo covers topics like data privacy, crypto, big tech, and UAPs. With his work cited in over 20 law reviews, FCC filings, books, and assigned at universities like NYU and UT Austin. He has also contributed to Vice News, Rolling Stone, The Daily Beast, and others, covering diverse beats including marijuana, climate, gun violence, and the opioid crisis. In 2023, Matt launched Ask A Pol, a unique people-powered press corps. This platform engages thousands of subscribers who submit questions, which Matt and his team then pose directly to elected officials on Capitol Hill, fostering a dynamic community dialogue. It is precisely this that makes Ask A Pol both a unique podcast and a unique resource for anyone interested in the subject of UAPs. Matt Laszlo and co. is giving us a window here that most people outside of the press normally don't get. And Matt is the only person, to the best of my knowledge at least, he's the only one to ask Congress questions like this on such a regular basis. Not only does this serve as a way to facilitate the flow of information, but also it serves to hold policymakers accountable. Every engagement with a member of Congress is its own podcast episode, and usually revolves around one question and sometimes some follow-up questions being asked. Now, most episodes tend to be 5 minutes or less in length, and most include an accompanying article giving context, a transcript, highlights, and more. Podcasts tend to be put out on a regular basis, but obviously will be more active when Congress is in session. Episodes are available on the Ask A Pol website. Now fam, I would not even call this podcast a recommendation, but rather a necessity for anyone interested in UAPs or what the members of the United States Congress thinks about them. So if you fall into either one of these categories, be sure to check out Ask A Pol UAPs. Those were 4 podcasts I really enjoyed. I'm going to leave links to all of the podcasts in the description below, so be sure to check them out. Did you know about any of them before this video? And what are some podcasts that you think I should check out? Please let me know in the comments below. And with that, we'll call the video proper here, fam. And welcome back to another Big Mike Insulate, fam. The part of the video that's not really part of the video, while I'm all natural, uncut, unrestricted, Duck Daddy, baby. It is so great to be back, fam. It's been a while, and I don't really have too much to talk about here in this Insulate, but I do want to just talk a little bit about where I've been and what's going to be happening in the in the relative near future. See, I stumble over my words, so now you know I'm really uncut here, fam. So, well, there's not a real simple answer to what happened to me. It's kind of more like a combination of things. They kind of coincided all at once. On the one hand, I had some technical issues with my computer I had to get sorted out. On the other hand, I had COVID again. And as soon as I got done with COVID, I got hit with food poisoning. And all of that was happening at the same time. My daughter had her seasonal break from school. So it was really difficult to kind of get some clear time to record during that situation. And because my daughter's 8 and I love her to death. But, you know, if you have young children, they're very, very loud, very noisy. It's just in their nature, you know. So I didn't really feel comfortable putting out anything then. You know, my YouTube videos aren't really known as having the best sound quality. You know, I'm being real here, fam. But I try to make them as best as possible in that regards. And so if I know I'm going to be in a noisy situation, I try to avoid that. But I'm back, fam, and I'm glad to be back. So now I just want to talk about what you can expect in the relatively near future in regards to my channel. So Sage hasn't yet, as of the recording of this, the date for Sage hasn't been set yet in stone, but some of the people who run it have said that it's going to be in September, but a bit later than last year. And so I'm kind of waiting to hear a final confirmation on that, and so I can start staggering out my Sage related stuff, because I like to try to build up some momentum moving up to that. And I have some in the works that will be coming out as soon as I get a confirmation on when it's happening. On the other hand, in a couple days after the release of this video, I'm going to be recording my first episode of Coffee with Big Mike since I think 2024 or 2023. And it's going to feature a game dev, an indie game dev. We're going to be talking about a really cool game they're working on, a PS1 styled or influenced or inspired game. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And so I'm going to be doing some more gaming related stuff going forward. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do in regards, or how often my game related content is going to come out, or my game related video is going to come out. I try my best to get away from using the word content. So just be on the lookout for that. Now, on a bit of a sad note, however, or maybe not sad, but maybe a bit of a bad note, I would say, unfortunately, I am going to have to shelf my Doki Doki Literature Club Blue Skies playthrough for a while, probably to after Sage. Right now, I'm trying to get ahead on my videos because I tend to take Sage Week off. No, Sage Week is one of those weeks out of the year. Only 2 weeks out of the year I get a vacation, and so I'm gonna be taking the week off from all things productive outside of experiencing Sage. But I still want to have a video to come out during that week, so I'm trying to get ahead. So I'm gonna need all the free time during the week I can possibly get between now and then to kind of make that happen. So until after Sage, I'm probably not going to be able to do another episode of DDLC Blue Skies. It might come back after that, or I might just move on and do another playthrough of another visual novel. I'm not quite so sure yet. But if you tuned in to check that out, I appreciate it. I didn't really mean for this to happen. Things just kind of run off the rails for me, fam. You know, sometimes life just happens. But regardless, you know, that's really all I have to say. And I appreciate you. I love you for sticking with me, and sticking through this video and just getting this far in it. And if you've done that, then you're my hero, fam. So I just want to mention I have a Ko-fi account, and for the time being, anything you give me on Ko-fi, unless you specify otherwise, I will be putting it towards helping me to buy or to build a better computer. And having a better computer will help me to improve my videos, to improve the quality, also broaden the range of the types of videos I can do, the subjects I can cover. But if you can't or you don't want to, I completely understand. Money's tight and times are hard for many people. Again, I just love the fact that you're here, fam. Special thanks to Fran, who does a wonderful job of doing my art. She's back on Twitter now, and she's looking for art moots. And also, if you would like to be her friend, or you would like to commission her for your art needs, I would highly, I cannot recommend her enough. She is a fantastic artist. She's a damn good person to work with, and she's all around fantastic. Also, special thanks to all of my friends on Twitter. I wouldn't be here without y'all. And also, special thanks to all of you for watching this video. Please like this video if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. But if you dislike it, please leave me a comment below and let me know why you dislike it. So, I can improve myself. I can be a better Big Mike going forward. And if you like my videos, please subscribe and turn your notifications on. Until next time, fam, remember, just be yourself and you'll be awesome. Peace out!